moment didn't constitute an ending so much as a true beginning, long overdue. It was less a transformation than an intensification, a gravitic shift. But anyway, here's the reason why this whole idea is actually a silly idea. We get it, it's original storytelling for the reason that this whole thing began with Darth Vader. To me personally, it's getting to be lazy because they're starting to do it with every single character. And I'm just going to start to list them off, and I'm probably going to miss some, and it just has to do with the non-chronological nature of Star Wars and how Star Wars has been non-chronological from the beginning, which is fine. I mean, that's the way it's always been. Family Guy has the best moment when they're like, yeah, let's start with episode 4. For me, I'm getting worn out. I'm getting worn out on seeing characters die, and then after we've already seen them die, showing their prequel, showing their origin story. It's like they're already dead. I've seen them die. I mean, so it started with Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker. We get that. I mean, George Lucas initially wanted to make this character, give it more depth. And I remember actually having a conversation with my good friend Dave Chisholm about this, and he's an old friend of mine from college. He's a diehard Star Wars fan, and he was talking about how Darth Vader was basically ruined by the prequels for him. The prequels ruined Darth Vader for him because he was a mysterious villain, and for him to be opened up like that. So anyway, that's just his thing. I was fine with it, but anyway, the point is that they're doing it with every character now. Darth Maul, with Darth Maul, he admitted that he killed him too soon. He realized that, that was something that he realized after the fact, and so they brought him back for the Clone Wars, and that was fine. But so that was cool. I like that. Just because having Darth Maul back again, people wanted him back in, and Dave Filoni brought him back in such an awesome way, having him be this complete and total, utter adversary to Obi-Wan Kenobi. It was I thought was done so wonderfully. But I love Dave Filoni and everything, but come on, I mean, Darth Maul deserved an on-screen death in a film. He deserved an on-screen death in his own movie. You should have given Darth Maul his own movie. That's Disney. You totally dropped the ball on that. Darth Maul should have had his own movie. Why? You kill him in a cartoon. You killed Darth Maul in a cartoon. Bad move. Horrible move. When you see Darth Maul die in a cartoon, okay, killed instantly by Obi-Wan Kenobi, which was fine, I guess. That was fine. But killed so easily by Obi-Wan, and for his end to be in a cartoon and then show it like a year later in Solo, a Star Wars story, show Darth Maul, I didn't care. We've already seen him die in a freaking cartoon. Wrong move. Crappy move. Han Solo dies in The Force Awakens. Killed in The Force Awakens in a crappy way. Everybody says that he could have died by, with Chewie in the Falcon. That's the way, in a blaze of glory. That's how he should have went out, but whatever. Luke Skywalker, will yet to see that, but they put out a really kind of a mediocre book. There was a book that came out right before The Last Jedi, and the book was okay. In general, it was kind of mediocre, and I wasn't a huge fan of that book. The Legends of Luke Skywalker, not a huge fan. But that came out right after that came out right before The Last Jedi. So I guess they didn't do it there. But you know, with Leia, the one person who's actually dead, Carrie Fisher's actually passed away, and with that one person, you're going to have her be alive. It's just completely backwards. There's like, anyway. So we have now, and then so we have Jyn Erso, Cassian Andor, Saw Gerrera, Galen Erso, Orson Krennic. So this was actually kind of an interesting experience because Jyn Erso, Cassian Andor, or excuse me, Jyn Erso and Galen Erso, their story is huge in the book, the prequel book, Catalyst. That was a great book, predecessor to Rogue One, and it was actually great. I read that book couple of times, several times before the movie. So when you see her notice that, you know, she knows that Stardust is her name, that's the name that her father gave her, and so that story is chock full of goodness. It's such an amazing story. And I love, plus I'm biased because I love James Luceno. I love Jim Luceno, and Jim Luceno wrote that book, so it's a great book. And so I was spoiled on that. So that's why I really loved Rogue One, because I got that book that was a prequel to it. So I got to read the book beforehand. But then right after that movie came out, they released a book right after that. So you see all these people die. Jyn Erso, Cassian Andor, Saw Gerrera, Galen Erso, Orson Krennic, all these characters die in that movie, and there's more that I haven't even mentioned. And then they show a prequel to that, and it's Jyn Erso growing up in the Resistance or whatever she's doing, and or helping out with Saw, not the Resistance, but the Rebel Alliance with Saw Gerrera, and she's basically kind of raised by Saw Gerrera a little bit. But the point is that came out after the movie, after you had already seen her die. And I read the book, and it was a good book. It was good. Boba Fett. Saw him die in Return of the Jedi. We see him back in the Clone Wars. Killed first, then you see him afterwards. Obi-Wan Kenobi, same thing. We see him die in A New Hope. Comes back afterwards. Palpatine, Sidious, died, see him beforehand. Yoda died, see him again beforehand. Starkiller Base, destroyed. We now see it in the Resistance show. Tarkin, killed in A New Hope. Book later released by Disney, and that is a book that is actually canon, and it's a wonderful book, once again by James Luceno. So that's actually a really good book. Mace Windu, same thing, already killed. A comic book is released later on after he's already killed. Phasma, she's probably dead, and we're getting more Phasma material in comics. Chirrut Imwe, same thing with Chirrut Imwe and Bodhi Rook. So, I mean, there's just Mon Mothma, same thing. We've already seen, well, we don't actually see her die, but so anyway, it's just happening. This is just too much. Too many characters that we've already seen die. You're trying to show us our origin story after the fact. Cassian Andor, we've already seen die. We're bringing, and now we're going to see him, his own show. Once again, like World Class Bullshitters said, Jeff at World Class Bullshitters was saying, you know, the one guy who has more cred than Rose Tico, and he's getting his own TV series. This is a really awful plan. It's like, if anyone deserves their own series, it's Darth Vader, Darth Maul, somebody else. I mean, it's like somebody else. I mean, I liked his character. I liked his character in Rogue One. It was good. But how about someone that we actually care about? You know? That's just my opinion. What do you guys think? I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'll watch it, of course. I mean, I'll see if, you know, I'll try it out and see if I like it. I just don't think that they're not planning things very well. They're not planning They're not thinking ahead. They're not thinking what the fans really want. They don't care. I was talking with someone just recently about this, and he has like someone had kids like a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old, and none of them dressed like Star Wars characters for Halloween this year or last year or any years so far. And he's a big Star Wars fan, and he loves all of Star Wars and was trying to get into it. But it's just like, wow, man, that's like, have you learned nothing? They just haven't learned anything, and they just don't care. I don't know. What do you guys think?